Good morning, everybody. Wait, is it morning? No. I keep saying that every time, but it's not morning. One of these days, I'll actually look at the clock before I start the stream and, say good morning. Not today, though, apparently. Right, moving on. So, in other news, another silly news, I've got a new one of these. So, my mouse wheel should be alright now. I fitted it about 5 minutes ago, so we'll see. Because it was when I was scrolling, it was sort of jumping up and down as I was scrolling. It was sort of pain in the bum. Anyway, so yesterday I thought I was going to end up doing more stuff after the stream, but life got in the way, so that didn't happen. So we're just going to carry on from exactly where we left off yesterday. One of the places that we left off yesterday, there was a bug or issue with how I was trying to display the list of languages. So let's refresh our memory with where we got to yesterday. Right, here we go. Right, so we're just going to run this. And we basically had a GUI that looks like this. And when we click this over here to change language, it dies. Right? So I let the dev know, and he said, this might fix it, but I'm not sure if that's the right thing to do. So we're just going to go and assume that he's going to fix it either this way or another way at some point. Use this code and then move on. Yeah, so because it was basically dying in this unreachable line over here, and now there's an implementation where if it's an owned one, it does this. So we're going to try that. So we need to make a branch and rebase our other branch and all this kind of stuff, and then switch our project to using this code. So let's faff about doing that for a few minutes. It shouldn't be too bad. So we go to the Vizia thing. I've fetched everything already, and we're on a tab document example. I'm just going to cherry pick the head of this branch into this, right? Right, and then we're going to rebase this. Wait, let me check out the master. Is it master? No, main. Oh, dear. This whole master main thing that's happened in the last year or so is just batshit crazy. Every single time you try and work with any repo, you play the guessing game of what is the name of the branch now. It's so stupid. Right. Anyway, moving on. So, and then we're going to get bull into this to make sure we've got the latest ones. So we're going to get check out. Let's go main with fixes. Yeah. Right. And we're going to do the same cherry pick on this. And there was another commit that we had as well, which we also needed, which was something to do with fixing the tab headers. We need this commit. So we're going to create a branch that uses those two. Then we're going to switch back to the tab document example. And we're going to rebase that on the one we just created. Yeah. There we go. Fine. So we've got this tab document example, which is all fine. And we're going to push that to my repo, but because we've rebased it, we've got to force push it. And we're also going to git push main with fixes, master with fixes. Repo name first, that's the one. May with fixes, that one. Right. Then we're going to use that commit reference, which is this one. And instead of using the repo that we were using, which is the original one, we're going to use my one with this commit. And then we're going to run it and see what happens. And we'll see if it crashes or not. Pass or fail. What do you think? What do you think? I think it might work. Here we go. There's a drop down, but it appears in the wrong place. You know, like drop down, down, not drop left. Oh wait, no, this is a pick list. Well, who knows where it's going to be then. So, Spanish. Okay, that doesn't actually do anything. Huh, curious. Okay, well, maybe there's some more to it then. But at least, you know, it displays it. Okay, let's see if we can try and fix up this language selection thing before we do anything else then. So we've got languages, we're putting the codes in, and then we've got a change language event. Let's see if we get the change language event here. Index, there we go. What do we think? I mean, we could put a breakpoint in and see if it gets hit. Well, okay, it gets there. Okay, so kind of interesting that it doesn't do anything. I mean, what should it do? Let's have a look then at the Vizia example for changing language. This one. Yeah. I mean, we're getting it. We've got the code. And we're just doing set locale, parse, unwrap. The same as this. Oh. We just created a thing without emitting it. Yes, okay, I see the problem. That's kind of weird. Was there a warning for that? Did we see a warning? No. Oh, that's supposed to be emit. Okay, so maybe it'll work now. Here we go. Crea proyecto. Muy bien. Muy bien. Está bien ahora. It works now. It's good now. Alright then. But it's not good, is it? Because look, it says English United States up here still, and over here it says, you know, it's clearly in Spanish. So this doesn't update properly. Why? What do we need to do to make it update properly? So we get a change language event, right? But we send that. So do we need to, we probably need to update this selected language thing. But doesn't this do it for us? Or does it just look at this? Do we have app data? I mean, we've got this app data here, but are we supposed to do that? Are we supposed to go? Are we supposed to go? Well, oh yeah, app data. Okay, we're probably supposed to do it here. Self dot selected language index is index, right? And then that should cause the other thing, it should cause the UI to realize that the lens that we're passing to that thing has been updated, and therefore it should do some stuff. But selected language index is a U size, and index is a reference. So we need to just do that. That's fine. Okay, maybe it'll work now. What do we think? I'm feeling like it might actually work now. Okay, Spanish. Oh, look, it works. United States. Hey, we fixed it. Okay, cool. Changes. So using this repo right for now. And I think you can add like patches or something like that to like repos. So yeah, we might have to look at you doing that with cargo stuff rather than using my repo, but just using like commits from it or something. I don't really know too much about using patches in cargo. I think we can do better than this for this sort of info message because we've got this language pair here. So if we put this here, and let's say name and code. Okay, why no autocomplete? What am I missing here? Why can't it autocomplete this? It's being a bit weird. What's going on there? That's weird. Name. Why is it being weird like that? Code. He clearly knows what that is. He knows what it is there. Why won't it do it here? IDE fail. This kind of stuff only seems to happen to me. I'm not making it up. Alright, so when we change language, we get a log message. It tells us what we did. Fine. Okay, good. Alright, great. Let's do the commit now. Right. Fix. Well, I suppose update. Yeah. Fixes to change language. So. Right, so now that we've got that, we can actually use sort of like language stuff everywhere. Yeah. What happens if you try and use language in here, in the window title? I don't know. I don't think I want to, but yeah. So what's next? I mean, so a lot of this is all temporary stuff for these documents and so on at the moment. Yeah, so we've got, you know, all this stuff. Let's do... What should we do? What should we do? I mean, should we go... Something like a spinner, maybe? Loading. I don't know. It's like a spinner's, you know, it's one of these things that wanders around all by itself while it's doing something in the background. Let's do that. What is the translation of that in Spanish? Who knows? Let's go loading. Yes, cargando is, that's right, yeah. Yeah, cool. Okay, we're going to use that then. I did know that. I'd seen that before somewhere. I don't think we were supposed to put quotes in it, were we? So yes, we can use that, I suppose. And then it was, what was it? How did we do it? It was something like localize. I don't remember. Who remembers? Localized new, and then you give it the key. We need another bracket. What does this take? A string reference. What's this? What? I think my IDE is very confused today. Let's see where else we use this again. I mean, it gives you that, but should this just be a localized string here? Because there's this. What does this give you? Has this got a two-string thing? No, that's what you get back, isn't it? It's not that. Let's do into on it. See if that works. No. Do we... Oh, do we have to go to string? What do you do? How do you get a string out of it? But how do you convert it back to a string? That's what we need to know. It's got this res string. Got two string. It gives us a string. Two string localized. Two string local, and then but you have to give it a context. Okay, we'll try it. because we do have a context. Maybe we need to do that. No. Oh, hold on, what? That was the method I was supposed to be calling, wasn't it? Yes. Not this. Oh no. Do we have to... Data context. Can't move it out of there because it's borrowed. Maybe we'll put a move on here. No. You'd think this would be easy, wouldn't you? No. No. What if... What if we take this and go, let foo is this. And then go foo here. Uh-huh. Do we have to clone it? Yes. So when we click this, it should say loading very briefly. Yes. Right, and then when it's in Spanish, and then we click it, it should say cargando very briefly. Yeah, it does. Okay. And this way of manually testing stuff, I hate it. But this is... I don't like this, right? Because this is not... the unwrap or... Right, is this lazy? No. No, because you have to use unwrap or else, don't you? Eagerly evaluated, you see. Let's just temporarily, let's go... Unwrap or else. Oh, the gardeners are here again. The leaf blowers. William Shatterer will be on my case again. Okay, and then we're going to comment this out real quickly. And we're just going to try putting this in here. And I'm sure we're going to get the same thing. Whatever, and then we're just going to do this. Let's see what happens if we try and build this. Yeah, and we still get the same problem here. Yeah. So you know, we have to do it. Yeah. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but it's not ideal either, is it, you know? Maybe there's a better way of doing it. And then just... extra clone. Why? Fix me. Why do we need to clone things all the time? We need to investigate this to understand why. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. Use I10N, 18N, L10N. Translations. How many letters are in the word translations? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Should we go T12S? You know. Because everybody will know what that means, won't they? Use translations for what? For loading spinner. Sure. Okay, but we learnt stuff. We learnt that you have to futz around with two-string locale. I suppose it makes some kind of sense. Alright, now what? Let's run it and think about what we want to do next. So, we've got a create project button and we've got this document thing. But this document has got absolutely nothing to do with the project that we just created, right? So let's make this document 1 only appear after we've created a project. And let's turn this into a project document. Yeah. Okay, so let's start with renaming a few things. It seems fairly reasonable. Right, so we've got our app. Oh, it's quite nice to be able to use my scroll wheel again. It was all over the place yesterday. Right, so we've got this document. So shall we call this project document and move it? Let's move this. Move. Let's call it document for now. Is it going to work? There we go. Yes. We're just going to promote the modules to files. Right, and then we've got a whole bunch of things going on. So, yeah, let's make everything compile again because we've broken all manner of things here. So probably it doesn't know about these mods. No, it doesn't know about these mods. Why can't it find document? Oh, it's because of... why does it do that? That's silly. Okay. It's got a mod in a mod. I wasn't really expecting it to refactor and move it like that, but never mind. Kind of weird. Okay. Does it work now? Yep. Okay. So let's see if we can work out how to do this properly. Because that previous refactor fails. There's insects trying to eat me. Yeah. So do we move all this? I thought there was a refactor for like promoting this. Refactor. Yeah, I thought there was a promote to mod. Look, promote module to directory. You can do that, but you can't move the code into a module easily. Let's try doing it like this. Yeah, these things, and we're going to put them in language. And then we delete this. Maybe that's how you do it. Look, yeah, that seems to be how you do it. Yeah, but it didn't do the imports, did it? Look, why? Because we need the prelude thing. We had the prelude and it deleted it. Use Vizia prel. No. Why doesn't it do the autocomplete on that? My IDE is very confused today, look. What's the problem? Well, I can't autocomplete that. That's a bit strange. Anyway, moving on. Right, so it still works. Let's do a commit. So from the main thing, we've deleted a whole bunch of stuff, right? There's one more to do though, isn't there? Look. We need to create a new mod. And then in main, we've got this stuff. We're going to put that in there. And then we're going to have to fix this so that it's got an import to that. That should fix that, right? Nope. Well... Okay, so we probably need a prelude in here as well. Prelude star. That fixes it. Let me just try commenting this out for a second. Yeah, okay. What about this? Okay. So we don't need those if we're doing the prelude like that. Great stuff. Why does this need tab kind? Because... yeah. It basically needs something that can build a tab. Because it uses a tab view. Because basically this multi-document container is basically essentially like a tab view, but with some data. Right. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. We're all good. I mean, we could call it a tabbed document container. We might do a rename. Extract code from main.rs into their own module files. That's what we did. Okay. Right, let's have a quick look at main again now that it's a bit less noisy. So we've got the structure of main over here. And we've got create tabs. And we've got main. And we've got some event processing for the application itself. Which doesn't seem totally hideous. And the events that we need are defined up here. Project event. I suppose some of it makes sense. What uses this? Yeah, okay, fine. Yeah. Okay, it's not totally hideous. Let's fix the name of this. Right, we've got to clear the desk before we can start work, you know. Tabbed document container. Right, great. And we've got this tabbed UI thing here. I'm not sure about the name of this. I don't really like this because, you know, this has a dependency on this, and it's a bit funky really. There should probably be like some trait or something. It needs to be able to build tab, and it needs to be able to call events on it. So essentially it's like a vector of stuff that you can call build tab and event on, rather than being anything in particular. Let's see if we can fix this. Trait tabbed document. This will be fun. And we're going to say that you're going to need a method which does this, right? And all things in traits are public, right? And then we also need a build tab, and it gives us a tab pair, because that's what the thing wanted. Right. Okay. Right. So, if we said impl tab document for tab kind. Is that right? Does it still compile? It does still compile. This is good. So we didn't screw it up completely. Great. So now perhaps we can say this. But no. You see, you're going to get all this. Oh dear. Are we going to need a box? Din, whatever now. Oh god. Down the rabbit hole we go. Right, so the compile error that you get when you try doing that Missing lifetime specifier. Well, I mean, do I want to reference? Do I want references here? I don't really want references here. I want to own these things. It just polymorphism in Rust is a bit funky. Why? Oh, Lens is using A. What? Oh, I bet you can't derive things. Oh no. I'm pretty sure we don't actually want to do that, but how can we actually make it use a trait here? I don't think you can use impl here like this. And then can we make it generic? T and then go something like where, well, T colon tab document. Are we supposed to do it like this? And use generics? Is it tab document plus static lifetime like it says? It might be. Okay, let's try making it generic. Implement view for whatever. So I suppose we need this again. Right, and then we need the same again here. And this is going to be T here, right now. I think, perhaps. Dive annotations needed. Okay. And then what are these? Tab kind, isn't it? Tab kind. Tabs. Perhaps. It compiles. And it looks like it still works. So that's good. So our tab document container now. Let's see if it knows about tab kind. It still does. What do we need here? So this should be T. Oh, we got. Okay. Let's do these first and then the other things afterwards. Okay. Right. So our tab document container now doesn't care about tab kind. It just goes, yeah, you need to implement these methods. Everything's fine. So that sucks less. So we fixed our dependency. We don't have a dependency on our specific stuff. This is now like a reusable thing which we can use anywhere. Maybe. I don't know. Probably. Tab document container. So we've got this tab GUI thing here. And we've got two different types of tabs. Okay, so let's do a commit here. What did we do? We introduced traits for this and we renamed some stuff. Yeah. So use rename. Probably should have done the rename separately, but never mind. You rename. What did we do? What was it? Multi-document container. Like so. And the other thing we did was use generics for it's tabbed document container to fix up the dependencies. Right. Let's go tabs. No. Let's go mod tabs. Not tabs, tabs. There we go. I'm going to create a module. And we've got this tabbed UI thing here. And we've got a document tab. Which we're going to move. We're going to move that into tabs document. Yeah, why not? Just do it. I'll deal with the fallout later. Yes. Okay. And then we've got the home tab, which is this one. And we're going to move that. Refactor, move. And this is going to need to be in tabs/home, right? Just do it. Yes. Right, and then we've got our tab kind. And so on. So I'm thinking that all this stuff then needs to be in the mod for tabs. And then we're going to deal with all the rest of all this afterwards. Delete it. And these aren't public yet, so we probably need to make these pub and pub. How about now? Oh, that was a pretty good guess, wasn't it? Like, ha! That was refactor-tastic, that was. Okay, so everything still works. We're all good. So now we can sort of see the structure of our program a little bit better. Yeah, all right then. Let's do a commit. So what did we do? We basically moved all the tab code into a tabs module. Relocate tabs. Yeah, I guess it's relocate tabs, that's fine. We're good. Alright, right, now I think we can probably get on to actually doing what we wanted to do, which is changing this file a lot. What I kind of want to do, just to make sure that everything is working, is instead of editing this, we're going to just copy and paste this and call it project. And then we're going to call it project tab. Right. Now, somewhere there was a bunch of code to do with like loading documents and all that kind of stuff, and I've completely and utterly lost where it is. So it's here. Look, this is it. Yeah. So we're going to do the same with this. But before we do that, we're going to add project here and go project tab. And then because everything's in enum, we need a mod for it. Pub mod, which we can now import, right? And because everything's in enum now, we need to basically do all this. And I don't really like this, but it is what it is. Let's just call this tab. And we'll rename this property in a bit. And we've got build tab on it and everything's fine. Yeah, right, so we've got our tab, fine. We've got our project thing, but the project tab has got a document in it now, which is, we don't want this. We need a project in it. So let's copy and paste the document and call it project. I don't entirely know whether that's a good idea, but that's what we're going to do to start with. And then we've got this one, we've got a project. Right. And then in the project, we're going to need project. Now, yeah, okay. Fine. And I think we want to sort of strip some of this out, really, to be honest. Because I don't really care about this routing. I don't really care about loading things and all this stuff yet. Maybe I do. We do sort of want to do this. We do want the little sidebar thing. Okay, let's keep it for now. What's in a document content? This document content contains this and this. This is not what we want. What we're going to have is probably Crux coming back with some view or something. Some model, or I don't know. Yeah, there's going to be some view that comes back. But at the end of the day, it's just some data. Okay, let's leave it like this now, and we'll work out how to transition it in a bit. Yeah, we'll just do some renames for now. And we've got to work out what it is that we want to do. Because we don't have this active section. We are going to have an active thing, but we don't know really what. And again, we've got a project container. And this again is something else. Let's say project ID here. Yeah, okay. Oh dear. Now, yeah, this is all temporary, isn't it? So, yeah, It's not particularly exciting, this bit. Oops. Any more? Yeah, project event. Oops, daisy. Okay, there's no occurrence of the word document in there anymore. So we've got projects now. Let's get rid of that. And then, when our app starts up, currently it creates a document. But now let's see if we can create one of these new ones, which we should be able to do because it's pretty much a copy and paste of it. Project tab. Project 1. And it's going to have a name of Project 1. Project tab. No. Project tab. Ah. How did that? There we go. What about now? Oh, we got something in here. Oh, this is supposed to be a project container here, that's why. Document scroll view, so this is project. Aye. Project scroll view. Let's try that. Oh, yeah. And then I think after we've done this, we should clean up some warnings before we start. Yeah, look, so now we've got home, we've got a document, we've got a project. You know, we're good. So let's say duplicate document. So for near create project tab. Yeah. Right, this is sort of a... Right. So we can be sure that all our document stuff works while we're working on the project stuff as well. So then what? So what we've got is a create project, right? And it goes core update create project. Right. So when this comes back, you get an effect that says the project was created, right? And maybe that's going to have some information about what was actually created, like a name and an ID for the project. Okay, so let's delve into the Planner app. Right, so we've got this created project thing here. And when you go create project, it actually creates a project then it saves the project, and then it raises an event, not a GUI event, a Crux event, that says the project was created with nothing in it. Right. So, and then what happens, the default render gets called, which appears underneath here, and default render is still true. I think it was still true. Hold on, was it still true? No, it's false. So you just get a new event with an OK. But should we be rendering something? Because we've got the project name and we've got a path. And this is probably what we're going to need instead of what's currently in this document thing. Let's just go back to here. So we've got this project. So we've got this project and it's got an ID and a name. So here we've got a project name, but instead of ID, we've probably got the path. Okay. And that sort of makes sense, because look, we've got this project load. Wait a second. So what we said was, when you view the tab, it goes on build and then it loads the project. And this ID could be the path. And that can make sense, you know. Because you can't open the same project twice. I mean, you could technically do that. You could have two views of the same project. That's the path. Yeah, well, maybe it'll work. Okay, so back to this app core. Back to this. So you go create project, and it goes create a project. Okay. And then this is handled by the app core. But it's not, because nothing happens, because it doesn't do anything. It just goes created project. So we need to tell I'm not sure what we need to do. What do we need to do? We need to tell somehow the GUI to open the project, right? Oh, that's right. So this goes save, it does the save stuff, and then it goes create a project, but this is self-update. That's right, okay. So when it creates the project and everything's okay, what it was doing for the Freya stuff, it was going navigate to some path, which was this. Right. But I don't think navigate is what we need to do here. This navigate capability was added, and we were trying to make it work, but should we just tell it to load, as in yeah. Suppose we could make it do that. There's also this other weird thing, right? Because our core of the app currently has state, and it has a single optional project that it's working with. Can we work out where this is? Yeah. This one, which has a project, right? So the internal model of this core of the app is going to need to know about multiple different projects, so that they can each be operated on without having to load and save them all the time, right? Because this project here is like inside the core of the app, and this has got, the PCBs, the unit assignments, the part state, and all this kind of stuff, which it takes a while for it to load that because it has to get all this data from various different sources. So we don't want to be reloading that all the time, so it needs to maintain those. So if we change this from an option of model project to a hash map of a path buff to model project, right? Then we could say, please interact with this one, please interact with that one, please interact with the other one, right? So all of these messages like add PCB, for instance, would need to be updated to take in that reference. Now, I suppose what we also could do is generate a unique identifier instead of using a path buff. So when we either create a project or load a project, we create a temporary ID. Like, and we use that ID in the hash map, like a UUID or something like that, right? And then when the app needs to do stuff with the core, it can pass this unique identifier, right? If we did that, then where we have, and this, we're back in the GUI app now, when we have this unique identifier could just be a string still. Right? So we wouldn't actually have to change anything. I suppose that could work. That could work, couldn't it? What uncommitted changes? I've got none. So I think what we need to do is fix up the core of the application first, so that it can be told to work with multiple different projects. Because if we don't do that, it's going to be painful. Like, because in this app core where we're handling events and trying to do all this stuff, created project. This we need to do something else instead of this. That's what we're trying to fix. So, if imagine for a moment we've got a project ID. Let's imagine that we've got multiple tabs looking at the same project. I don't know whether it would be a good idea. And maybe we've got multiple windows and they're both looking at the same project. Maybe one of them's looking at the phases and the other one's looking at the list of components, right? Then if you said, you know, slash project yeah, okay, this is a bit funky, isn't it? And then if you said like the ID of the project, right? Let's just pretend the ID's here right now. Then how would the GUI with multiple windows looking at the same project do anything with that information? It can't, right? It can't navigate to anything. So, you know, that's never going to work. So how about we think about something else to do instead? If we said we create a project and then we say load. We can say that each client needs to load. Is it load? If you've got a CLI app, then you know it's just got the file. It already knows what it's dealing with. There's nothing to load. But if you're a GUI app, then the load could be interpreted as create a new tab, right? And then if you right-click that tab and when duplicate tab, I'm trying to work out how it would work. You would just do the same load thing again inside the GUI app as what this would, the effect that this would have. Okay, let's think about this a different way. So the idea of loading, maybe that's okay, but let's say we did Navigator still, and we said load like this. Maybe we did that, or maybe we do project load with an ID. That doesn't feel totally hideous to me. Huh. Okay. And then how you process this path. Well, we got the ID. This is probably where we need to generate an ID. But we don't. Oh dear. We still need to give it back the path, don't we? Maybe it should be project ID and then load and then path. Because the ID would be the sort of like unique identifier for this. But no, it's not, is it? Because if you've got two tabs looking at the same one, then you can have two different IDs, and that's going to map into two different instances of the project, and they're sort of copying. No, that's not right. Unless when you go... where does this ID come from? Should... It's a bit fuzzling, isn't it, this? What do we do? What do we do? Because we want one unique identifier for the path. So if we go create project with a path, and then the UI sends us an event to load a project with the same path, then it should use the same ID, right? Maybe we don't need ID here after all. ID here. Maybe we just go project load and then path, like this, right? Yeah. Because we need to tell the GUI app to send a load event, and the load event has got the path, right? So I think the ID is really just like, perhaps it's something that the GUI app needs to maintain by itself. Otherwise we have to do this sort of lookup stuff in the main app. I mean, we could give it both things back. Let's forget about navigate for the moment. Let's try another option. Caps dot, and then we'll say. So we've got navigate, we've got render. We're not doing either of these two things. We're just telling the client that something happened. We don't need to render anything. Or maybe we should be rendering something. Maybe we should be rendering something. What could we be rendering? Maybe we should be sending back something that... what does render do? I mean, it's got this... I'm not very familiar with this. We've got this render. And we've got a view model associated with this planner thing. And honestly, this project operation view model is, I don't know. This all seems pretty junk to me. I don't know. What can we do? Project operation view. Because there's only one view model, you see, in this. I'm still not sure about all this Crux stuff. Typically, a struct describes the user interface that should be displayed to the user. The view method is used by the shell to request the current state of the user interface, which is fine. So maybe this view model is sort of just like the list of like the projects that it's got loaded that you can interact with, and it's everything else is I don't know. Maybe. No, because we want one app that interacts with multiple different documents, right? And what are we going to ask the document? We're going to ask the project for the list of phases, for instance. I think we need to look at some of the Crux examples. Okay, so we've got this cat facts example, right? Let's look at the core for this. And let's look at its model. Right, so the model is fine. It's got information about the cat. So in our land, we've got a list of projects. Right, but what does the view model look like? It's basically got all the information that you'd want to display. Let's look at another example. The view model here is some text and whether it's confirmed or not. Let's look at another example. Notes. This might be more interesting because there's multiple things here. Let's have a look. Right. So the model has got a single note. and then the view gives the text of the node. That's interesting. So how do you know which node you're working with? It uses some funny key value thing. I doubt that's going to work for us. Because we've got a much more complicated data object that we need to work with. That's interesting. They implemented from for a view model. Weird. Normally you're only supposed to implement this if you can go two ways. Lossless. Huh. Where the original value can be recovered. Yeah, weird. Okay. What else is there? Yeah, and then this is like payment stuff, which is, yeah. What's this delay? So they use an enum for this, yeah. Let's have a look at this. Because it sort of might make a bit of sense to do this. Where's this payment thing coming from? Mod payment. Yeah, and then it's got some details of the actual thing. That might be a way to do it. So depending on what you ask it for, it gives you a view model back, and that view model is an enum, and that enum contains the information that you need to display. That could work. So what we're trying to build is this, right? So one of the view models that you're going to get back is this content here. But there's only one view model. So we need like, I don't know, overview as like an enum, or a maybe the property is called like content or something, right? And then this content is an enum, and then this enum can be like overview. Okay. Well, there's really quite a lot to think about in order to get this to work, isn't there? Jeez. Okay. Okay, let's leave Let's get rid of this. Okay, so go back to our stuff. Right, what do we got? So we've got this project operation view model, which I don't really like. But let's leave it there for now. And let's just think about this in sort of types and so on. What if we had I guess we could just have a thing called view, right? Which can be an enum. I don't know, can it? Would it be? I don't know. What are you supposed to do? Because I don't know how you're supposed to use this properly in the GUI app. Oh dearie me. And then this is basically, it would have to be one giant enum which knows about every single thing you to do. I'm not entirely sure whether that's a good idea. Don't really know how else to do it, mind you. What are we going to do here? Let's call it a project view. Right. And let's say the project view has got a project tree, which I think is supposed to be like that. And then, I don't know, this is going to be some B tree, probably. But for now, let's give it a vector of strings. And these are going to be the things that you can click on. And maybe they have a path as well. Okay, so say we had that, right? And probably we're going to need all this on here and everything's fine, right? Okay, default. Can't have default on that. This is going to need to be an optional view then, I suppose. Right. So then we can fill in the project view of a project tree. We can create a project tree. Right. How do we poke can we go self.view? How are we supposed to update this view in here? How are we supposed to update this view? What do the other things do? So the view method does this. And it always calls render on every one. So I suppose, but what are we supposed to do here? Really don't understand this. How are we supposed to do this? Because what am I supposed to be able to put in the model that allows the view method to pick the right, essentially, screen? Because here, there's only one screen, right? So this example is like, it always creates a payment screen. So what's the point of screen being there anyway? Right? What's the point of having an enum here? And how would you display this settings thing, if it did exist, from this? How would you know to use the different value of the enum? Yeah. I suppose we need to read this Crux book. Let's have a look at this Crux book a bit more, because it's really not. So one of the capabilities is to render, right? But they only ever use the same view model. What's compose? Several effects in parallel. Let's have a look. Context, update app, event fetched documents. What I'm finding with this Crux stuff is that the examples for where you're using like the core of the Crux app are too simplistic to like get an idea of how you're supposed to organize like something like a GUI app with multiple tabs and views and dialogues and all the rest of it, right? I'm not entirely sure about this Crux stuff. Still not entirely sure about it. Laying out UI components, yeah. Yeah, you see, but it's fine if your view model is simple, but we've not got a simple view model. This is some good documentation though. It's not particularly useful because we're still trying to deal with what the view model is supposed to look like. Yeah. it's not got enough information about building an app like we're trying to build. I mean, like, so where I'm getting stuck right now is that, you know, I've got multiple tabs. I can have multiple tabs looking at the same document, looking at a different view of the same document, right? The core knows about the actual implementation details of the project itself, and it needs to come back with lots of different views to fill in all these different bits of the UI, right? And then inside this main section over here, there can be multiple different bits, and so on and so on and so on and so on and so on. And depending on what you click, it does various different events, and each one of those events needs a different view to be returned to the GUI app, so that the GUI app can therefore put all the data in the right places. For instance, you know, say you've got a list of placements, or say you've got a list of phases, and say you've got a list of parts, and so on. So how do I create a view model which has got all of this stuff in? And should I even be doing that? Because right now we've got this view, project view. Let's think about more things that we're going to need to like send back, just to see where this goes. So project tree is one thing that we can send back. Great, fine. Let's look at this again. So project tree. So placements. We can have a list of placements on the right hand side. So you click placements and it shows you the placements. Let's deal with that. Placements. Placements list. Let's say. Sure. You know, let's put it up here. Maybe some of this will make sense. I don't know. And this is going to have placements, I suppose, and it's going to have a vector of. I mean, is it going to have rows and columns and all this kind of stuff? Don't know. Maybe it's pageable and you can go between the pages. Maybe it sends it all back in one go. Don't know. Let's pretend it's not pageable and it just gives them all of them at the moment. So now we've already got our placement, right? But this placement here, maybe we can use this. Let's say we can. Now, I'm not sure that's a good idea, because it might be that we want to use an intermediate object and not a placement object, and we might want to go from a placement to a placement list item, because the placement list item might not want to contain all of the fields. Future. Consider using placement list item. Introducing. Something like that, right? Right, so we've got this, we've got placements. Let's go back to this. Let's say you clicked on one of the phases. Phase overview, let's say. I think these need to be pop. And maybe in here we've got a name and maybe the processes or something. Maybe we could probably do a phase for now. Let's have a look at phase, because phase is a serializable thing and it's got a bunch of other stuff in it, right? Yeah, because you don't want the placement orderings for it initially, because this will probably be in a separate list that appears underneath it, and you have to pick those and reorder them and all this kind of stuff separately, probably. Yeah, okay. Let's go phase overview. But maybe we don't need that. Maybe we don't need another thing. So let's just make it this subset, right? Where is it? Why is it defined multiple times? What are you talking about? Yeah, because we've got report. I imported the wrong thing. Everything's fine. Let's have a look. So the phase placement orderings. And then if we go to phase, we've got this, I suppose. Oh. Right, so we start to build a picture of the kind of things that we could return when you click on things in the UI, right? So obviously you need to add events to get all this stuff back, but when you've got an event, and say you're handling the event, how do you build the view model? Right, so we've got this project view, which is this. So down here, this render method will end up calling this view thing, right? So how do we fill in this based on the only things that we've got, which is self? Let's have a look at self. What can we do with self? You can't really do much with self. Right, so the only thing you can really do anything with is the model. So you could do some conditional code that goes if model, and then what would we look at here? Like what? How would we do it? Like which project are we looking at? What's the ID of that project? How do we know what the last thing is that the user wanted to do? Because remember, we've got to process an event and set something in the model, right? You go model dot whatever equals whatever. Right, but the model currently it contains a project as opposed to a list of projects. Should we have something in the model called, I don't know, render what's this render operation here? What's this? What is this? A single operation render, but this thing here is part of the Crux core. Okay, interesting. Wait a second then. So if we're in here, not here, this. Okay, let's ignore we've got this. Right, so we can render using this render thing here, right? But if we had our own render, like we do for navigate, we can go render project view. Right, and this could have other methods on it. Is that what you're supposed to do? Then, say we had this, and this render was a different one, our own one. Quite how it's going to work, I don't know. So in here, currently it calls render.render, right? So let's say, theoretically, we were processing the an event called project overview. Right, what would this do? You would need to get God. We would need to do all that boilerplate rubbish, and then here we would need to do something. What would we do then? Would we go instead of doing this default render, would we go caps dot render project view See, this still doesn't make any sense to me. Because the only thing we've got is the model, and we're trying to build a view model. Render project view, render. Okay, let's just say render project overview. But then what would this do? How is it related to this? When would view be even called? It doesn't make any sense. How would... No... Let's see what this render is doing. And then, so it says render, and then are you supposed to call, is the shell supposed to call view? Let's maybe look at what the shells do in these examples. So the effect is render, and then let's try looking at a different one. Is it just... When does this get called? How does it do it? Where's this callback created? Callback. Good luck understanding this. There's too many moving parts. You can't hold all the information in your brain. Let's look at a different one. The CLI one might be simpler than some web one, right? So we've got main. And it goes core.view, right? But it doesn't care about this. Oh, so that core is this core. It sends to a channel the event, the effect. It sends the effect to the channel. I don't know where it goes. It's just like, what? It does nothing with it. This makes like no sense whatsoever. So if the effect is render, then it calls view on the core, which gets the view model, right? And then it prints out stuff. But what is this? This is in the capabilities, and this is a struct though. But it's got this effect macro. So it says if this effect is effect render, then it calls core view, and core view probably, yeah, probably ends up calling oh, wrong one. That's supposed to be shared. Probably ends up calling this. And it gets this view model, and that's what's returned by this. But how does it, wait, so an effect is created when you call render on the render capability, is that right? So inside this, where it processes some events, it goes blah blah blah, and then it goes render, right? Why can't it go to this? Right, we have this, and render goes render operation. But it's been created with a render operation, and then it goes notify shell. And it sends the operation. This is madness. What the hell is this doing? Like, what is it doing? You get a capability context. Like, when is this called? This is created by first getting the context and mapping an event using a function. And the map event is like called when. This is used by like some, oh dear. So we don't really know where map event is used. This is probably used by some macro stuff. I don't know about you guys, but I am out of my comfort zone right now. Capability of a render. When's this one used? It's only used. And then events are used here. Is there an event for like render or something? No idea what this is. What is this context map event? Like, wait a second. These events, where did this come from? Wait a second. This event is a wide. I still don't understand where this. What is this render function doing? Because you don't pass it anything. Right, navigate, for instance. We had this and we can pass it something, right? It's almost like we don't even need a render in this thing. We want something else, perhaps, that we can give stuff to. Maybe that's what we need to do. Let's think about that for a moment, right? So let's imagine our capabilities doesn't have any rendering at all. And we just go, view. Right, and our view renderer can take something. Okay, so let's look at this navigator. So you've got navigation operations, and you can navigate. Jeez. Let's see what it would look like if we try and use it. So the idea is that we don't have a render method, so this view thing is never going to get called, right? Fine. Right, so instead of this, we go caps.view. And we give it a project overview. And then, is this where we then create the arguments for this thing that we serialize and pass over the wire? You know, like we do with the navigate thing. Right, because we've got, what do we got here? We've got this view, oops. We've got this project already view model. At the moment it's got this view in it here like this. Right, but we said we're not even going to have this view. So, whatever, right? But we can create something we can send over the wire. What are we going to need to send? We're going to need to send, I don't know what we're going to need to send. We're going to need to send some reference for the, so that the UI knows which window or tab was displaying the document. Let's just say for the moment tab reference and then project overview. And then I suppose you can build a project overview. Well, let's do it with a tree for the moment. Let's do the project tree. because this is the first thing we're trying to actually display. And we could create one of these. And for now, we'll just put nothing in it. Let's just say, no, let's put one thing in it. Let's do it. Come on, we can do it. And if we look at our UI, we've got phases. And then, I don't know. Right, so when you click phases, the right hand side dialog changes to phase overview. Or status or something like this. Overview seems fine. Or maybe just phases. But you need this. We need this reference here. So maybe it comes in here, and then you just stick it in the view on the way out. And then we're going to need to know which project that we're going to work on, right? Because there's many. At the moment, we're just getting the only one. But we would need to change this so that it works with many. Let's say... Let's say we've got project path in here, which is the path of the file name. And then if we've got a project path and a tab reference, then we can look at which project we need to work with from the model, which will have a hash map of project with the key of the path, right? Then we can load up the project. Then we can build this tree, you know. And maybe we can look at this project and then pull information from it, like, I don't know, for phase in project, you know, dot phases, right? And then we can add it to the project tree. You know, we've only got a list at the moment, but we could potentially say phase dot. What is phase? Oh, phase is it's a reference. Yeah. We've got a reference, which is like the top or bottom or whatever. And maybe we want to format it or whatever like this, who knows. And you would add them to a tree, blah, 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 blah. And then I guess the path would be something format. And then like phases slash reference. you know, that kind of thing. And then we'd have a project tree, and then we could say capabilities view the project tree, and the project tree would do something. I don't know what. So like the navigate method it runs the navigate function and it gives it the path. So imagine that the path, you know, imagine that this navigator was our view renderer thing, and the path argument was these two things, which was the view that you're looking at and a reference. The view that you're looking at and the reference, which would then go in here. And then you would tell the shell to do something, and you would say what the operation was. And this operation would be render project view or something. Right. With the details of what you're trying to push. Now, I suppose that might work. That might work. Let's just copy and paste stuff for a minute. Come on. Let's create a new file. It's hard work, this is. I'm going to have to go fairly soon. Let's create a new mod. Let's just go mod. Let's make it public. View renderer. Right. And we're going to just do a search and replace on this for a minute. But it's got to be case sensitive. Very important. Right, we've got navigation operations. It's not going to be this. And this is an enum. This looks suspiciously like the other thing. Let's just say project tree. Because this is one of the things that you can do, I suppose. But does it create events based on? Okay, well we'll think about it. And then we're just going to say tab reference for now. And then this is going to need project tree. Sure. Why does it need clone? Oh gosh. EQ is not implemented for project tree. Oh, there's quite a lot of... Okay. Then we've got this navigation result, which is going to be view renderer result. And it could give you errors. You don't know what they would be. We need to deal with the results. Where did that go? View renderer response. Oh, it's there. I don't think it needs to know anything. Let's just say it always returns okay. Seems a bit dumb, but you know, whatever. We're still learning. So we've got this navigate method, and then we've got a navigate method. So we've got navigate, navigate, navigate. Why do we need... Maybe we shouldn't have this. Maybe... Because it gets too complicated otherwise, doesn't it? Maybe it just go, maybe you go, fudge if I know. Because we had this enum, didn't we? There was an enum that we had, which contains all of the things. Project view. Maybe we create a project view down here, and and this thing takes a project view. So maybe we go. Maybe we do that. And maybe we want a project view in this thing. Which means instead of navigate we have view, was it? Is that what we said? It was. And then this thing here is no longer one of these. It's the, well, we need the reference and a view. And we're going to say and we're going to use all the boilerplate stuff, and it's going to be fine. And this is going to be view, and this is going to take a reference and a view. And the render operation, the only thing we can do, well, let's just say view. Right, so we can come back and nothing to do. String. Yeah, there's no. We don't do anything here. That's fine. Right. This doesn't return that. This returns nothing. And oh wait, we've got this. Let's call it run view instead. Make it with this response, update that. Right. So, you know, we've got a view renderer which can render some views. I don't know whether that's useful yet, but there we are. Okay. Let's add this. And we said we wanted a reference. And this isn't a regular reference. Well, I suppose I'm just going to use a string for now. And a path. So this reference is the reference of the tab that's requesting the view, or the dialog that's requesting the view, so that when it gives it back, the UI can go, what made this request? Oh, this did. How do I find that window or tab or whatever, and then display the stuff, right? And the path is the ID, is the path to the project. Right. Something like that. Here we're just going to ignore the fact there is a path and work with the only one there is for the moment, but we need to use this at some point. So we'll try that. Okay. I don't know why we need clone on everything. Let's take it off here. EQ's not satisfied because placements list doesn't have EQ. Do we need? Why do we need EQ then? Let's take it off. Project view clone is not satisfied. Why do we need it? Oh, it's there. Do we even need EQ here? Get rid of that. Nothing to render right now. Let's put let's just put that back for now so we haven't broken the existing code. We have this capabilities here. Try and keep everything compiling. So what this is supposed to do is that when it's finished doing the view, it can then raise another event if it wanted to, right? So this is like, we do that instead. We say when you finish this view, there's nothing else to do. Let's go a reference to phases, that's fine. Right. So now we're back in our GUI app and we could potentially do something else inside here. So we can go effect view renderer. And here we can do something. I don't know exactly what. The only thing that this can be is one of those, I think. So this view has a reference and a view. Right. And then I suppose we could go find the tab with the reference, ask the tab to display the view or something. Not to choose. Oh, this is supposed to be like one of these, isn't it? You get references, yeah. Why can't I go match on the effect itself like this? It says value used after being moved. I suppose we can go, yeah, that's probably okay. And we're not cloning everything. It's not totally hideous. Visibility qualify. What? Why? What's the problem? Project view is private. What? Oh, on this. Why is it saying that? Why can't I do that? Planner app project view itself. Oh, it's this. Okay. Well, you know, it works. It compiles. I mean, we haven't actually made it do anything, but you know, it still compiles. But I think we have a sort of vague notion of how we might achieve what we want to do. Maybe. Quite how much the overhead there is in doing all this Crux malarkey, I have no idea. It will be interesting to profile this once we've done a bit more on this. I can see problems with this though. Like this view thing here. Every time we do anything in the UI or create a new view or whatever, you're going to come back to this project view enum and change it. It's going to have a lot of churn and it's going to have a lot of dependencies and it's going to need to know about everything, and I'm not entirely sure about it. It might not be totally hideous, I'm not sure yet, because it literally is just like one thing has this, this has this, that has that, you know. It might not be too bad, because the details of these are, yeah, can be in the modules and whatever, or where you're doing stuff, but this file, giant enum processing, giant match statements, it's like, I hate it. It's like I want to split each of these things that I can do out into some little independently testable thing, right? So, you know, where we're doing this, right? I just want to pass these arguments from this thing to it and then have tests on the bit that it calls. Yeah, rather than sticking all of the code in here. because this is madness. Look at it. Look at all the code. Just no. Okay. Right, it's 3:30 now. We're going about 3 hours or so. I need to take a break, and I've got some other things to do this afternoon as well. So we're going to leave it there for today. Not really sure what we learned yet. I think I need to try tinkering with this a little bit more to see where it gets. I guess the next thing to do is probably going to be to try and do this, but I don't want to get quite there. Oh, sorry, you can't see what I'm looking at. To try and do this, you know, deal with the view renderer. What else have we got? And then the other thing we were initially obviously trying to do was to process this created project thing, like this, and like, because we want to click the create button and then we want the new tab to appear. But once that tab has appeared, I now know where I can go to get the content. Right, I can create the event for the app, which is create project, which will then give me the content, and then I can handle that view somehow in this bit of code, right? Quite how we do it, I don't know, but that's where it needs to be. This navigate thing here, we're going to need to handle that in here to make it open the tab and do something else. So we're sort of getting there. So we've got to deal with effect processing. But you know, yeah, it might work. It might work. So yeah, let's leave it there for now. Let's leave it there. Right. So just remember, folks, it's only software. How hard can it be? We'll find out.